in response to the fact that all that the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, wants to do is follow the same rules that have been applied in blue states to his red state of Texas. And this has sent the Democratic Party spiraling. Anyway, Texas governor, friend of the program, Greg Abbott, is back with us. Governor, I love everything you do. It's like when the borders were wide open and you said, okay, well, you're a sanctuary city or state. We're going to send all of our illegal immigrants to your state. That was political jujitsu at the highest level.
Well, Sean, I tell you, you're doing a great job of exposing the gerrymandering that's taken place across the entire country. I got to be honest with you. I think if Texas were not doing redistricting right now, most of America would not know about the facts you just articulated. And it must be reemphasized. All of the large blue states in the country have been gerrymandered to the maximum amount. And all Texas is really doing is based upon a change in the law. We are no longer requiring coalition districts, and we are able to ensure that voters in the state of Texas who are voting for Congress get to vote for their candidate of choice. We're creating 5 new seats where the residents and voters in those districts, they voted for Donald Trump, but they were also, against their will, packed in a district where they had to exist under a Democrat member of Congress. We're just redrawing the lines as fully authorized by law, and Texas is nowhere near drawn to the extreme ways that you see Massachusetts, New York, Illinois, California, and so many other blue states.
All right. And by the way, I want to emphasize here, this is perfectly legal. I had on your Attorney General, Paxton. He was on. I had Dan Patrick on. Again, both emphasizing that this is perfectly legal. There's nothing Democrats can do. Instead, they picked up their toys and they went to, of all places, I thought, somewhat ironically, Illinois, where, it's the most gerrymandered state in the country.
Which is amazing unto itself. They're fleeing. So Texas is known as a state where you stay and fight. We're known because of the Battle of the Alamo, where everybody chose to stay and fight, even though they faced a dire outcome. And now we have Democrats who turn and flee whenever they don't get their way. And I got to tell you, this is hurting them back in their home districts. For one, every one of their voters, they have to go to work. And if their voters don't show up to work, they'll get fired. These Democrat members of the Texas House, they think they don't have to show up to work. Their voters will remind them. Their voters will also remind them they don't like Texas legislators cutting and running. And the last thing I'll tell you, Sean, is this. We are still grappling with the devastation of the floods that ripped across central Texas, and especially the Kerrville area. I put on this 30-day special session agenda helping to address the victims of this horrific flooding, and the Democrats turned their back on Texans and repairing from the floods. The reparation from the floods has been slowed because Democrats chose to go to Chicago and New York and other leftist areas.
All right, let's talk about what options you have available to force them back either into the state so you can get a quorum and you can have the vote take place, and of course, the emergency monies that are needed for the victims of the flood. By the way, again, Governor, I'll express to you my sincerest, prayers and regrets of all that you've gone through there. It's been very tough for the people of Texas. I know a lot of people that were very close to the camp in that I think it was Camp Mystic, and all the people that lost loved ones. It's heartbreaking what happened there.
Well, it's horrendous. We are still searching for 2 people who remain missing around the Camp Mystic area, including one of the campers there. And while that search continues, while we continue the process of rebuilding those communities, we're trying to implement reforms such as warnings and things that would actually save lives. And these Democrats have chosen to play politics over saving lives by running to Illinois. And you got to understand this, Sean. It's a futile exercise the Democrats are going through. They've done this before. Every time they break quorum and run off to some other state, they eventually come back. And they will come back, whether it be tomorrow, the next day, or next week, whatever the case may be. But what they did in the meantime, they slowed the recovery process of the people who desperately need it the most. And the people who are going to remember that here in the upcoming elections will be the voters who knew they had a Democrat who was a chicken, a coward, and they run off to some other state as opposed to taking care of business.
Let's talk about you going to the state Supreme Court. What are you asking them to do, and when do you expect a decision?
I filed a lawsuit in the Texas Supreme Court 2 days ago requesting the removal of the ringleader of the Democrat operation. He's the chair of the Democrat caucus, and there's plenty of evidence to show that he has abandoned his office. There's a legal term called quo warranto, and that proceeding has been brought before the Texas Supreme Court. I'm allowed to go directly to the Supreme Court as opposed to a trial court to seek the removal. The same night that I filed that petition in the Supreme Court issued an order to this legislator. His name is Gene Wu, telling Gene Wu he had to respond by tomorrow to the legal action that I've taken. My point is this: the Supreme Court of Texas has taken this very serious, looking very closely at the possibility of removing from office the ringleader of the Democrat operation that ran away from Texas, abandoned their duty, and is preventing the Texas legislature from taking action. One last point about this. The Texas Constitution is clear. It says that the legislature shall conduct business and take up bills as they arise and take action on those bills. And it doesn't say that you can cut and run and prevent action. They must take action. So they are in direct violation of the Constitution. They should be removed from office, and that's what I'm seeking at the Texas Supreme Court.
Let's just imagine a scenario, and I hope it doesn't come to fruition, where maybe the court doesn't go your way. Whenever you get before a court, you never know how it's going to turn out. And these people just stay away and stay away and stay away and stay away and stay away. At some point, there's got to be some mechanism to compel them to do their job and show up.
Well, let's talk about what is possible. And that is, as we're talking on the phone right now, there are Texas law enforcement who are scouring the state of Texas. We have a dragnet going on around the state, looking for some of the Democrat House members who are still here in the state of Texas. And we will seek to arrest them and bring them to the Texas Capitol, and we may have enough votes for a quorum sometime soon without even having to worry about these people who ran away from doing their job.
In other words, as a matter of law, you have the ability to pick up elected officials and bring them to the state capitol, and their very presence is enough to create the quorum that would allow for the vote to go through.
Exactly right.
Well, I hope that happens. Maybe you can ship them off when it's all said and done to New York like you did the illegal immigrants, or California, any sanctuary city or state in the country, and maybe they can stay there if that's where their views are. I don't know if you saw the article that came out this week. Did you see 100,000 Californians annually are headed to your state of Texas? That's a pretty high number.
I know. I'm thinking about maybe putting a tariff on them or something like that to raise some more revenue for the state of
A tariff if you want to come to the free state of Texas? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. This is such a big import. We need a tariff all of our imports. But all kidding aside, I'm going to tell you something that's very important, and that is, there are a lot of people leaving California because they cannot stand the leftist government out there. What some people don't know, and that is, there's actually a large number of people leaving Texas and moving to California. And before they go to California, they know the crazy government they have out there. So here's the point. We have a massive exchange program going on where we are getting conservatives from California, and California is getting liberals from Texas.
Well, I think that's a fair exchange. I keep saying, if you want to go to Texas, if you want to go to Florida, if you want to go to Tennessee or the Carolinas, it's fine if you come from one of these deep blue states, but don't bring the policies that ruin the state that you're coming from to your new state. Otherwise, you're not wanted.
Exactly. And I mean, look at some of the people who have come here. We've got Elon Musk, Joe Lonsdale, people like that who are heavily involved in what is now Republican politics. And so we got some people who are making a difference here in a way that's good for the state, while at the same time we're losing some leftists who are deciding to move out to California. That's a fair trade.
And you're going to be a huge beneficiary. This announcement that took place in the Oval Office yesterday with Tim Cook of Apple, Texas is getting a huge chunk of the billions of dollars. They're going to build a massive manufacturing center in Texas.
That's exactly right. So Apple already has massive operations in the state. They're about to expand it even more with the announcement yesterday. And it's just a part of the way that Texas is leading the innovation age, because Texas ranks number one for semiconductor manufacturing. We've been number one for more than a decade, and number one for semiconductor exports. We're number one for space. We're number one for artificial intelligence advancement. And so everything that's going to be hugely important to the future is taking place right here in the state of Texas. And now Texas, we have created our own stock exchange, and that created competition. Now the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ, they've set up operations in Dallas, Texas to compete with the Texas Stock Exchange.
Well, I love my friends in Texas. God bless Texas. Again, we're praying for the families that lost loved ones during that terrible flood. I mean, it was a flash flood at the worst hour of the day. Maybe it was 1 in a 100-year flood, and our prayers are with the families of the victims and all Texans that have been impacted by this. Governor, you always show a lot of innovation, a lot of courage. You think out of the box. I know you'll get over this hump, and thank you for your political courage that you always show. We appreciate you.
You got it. God bless you, and God bless your audience.
And God bless Texas. 800-941-SEAN, our number. Look, authorities across many states now are warning about a widespread text message scam impersonating the DMV, and these fraudulent texts